Hi, this is Darren Hunter, and I am with Deniz Yusuf. We are with the Property Management Growth Experts podcast show, and we are in Auckland today. In lovely New Zealand. We haven't got our usual backdrop green screen effects, and we have with us today Michael Sanz, who runs he actually just recently sold out, but ran a massive rent roll in Melbourne, 600 properties spread over 84 suburbs. I mean, if anything, Michael isn't. He just doesn't run anything traditionally. So Michael's got
outside the square, doesn't he?
Absolutely. He's got a great story to share today. And look, I think straight off the bat, Michael has for 2 years, with his 600 properties spread over 84 suburbs in Melbourne, a zero vacancy rates. He had no properties days on market, despite his competitors, of course, having vacancies and having a vacancy rate. So look, before we get into talking to Michael, just want to do a quick shout out for our exclusive partners, inspectionmanager.com. Now, Inspection Manager, look, we all know they are the most popular and most well-used inspection app in Australia. Check it out. Now, as an owner myself, I have my property manager email to me my routine inspections. They are on the Inspection Manager template. As an owner, it's really easy for me in my busy day to open it up, quickly have a look at the comments that are made room by room, and then of course the photos, and even have little notes stuck on the photos. And there's all sorts of things that the app and the inspection software can do. So look, get onto the best software. Don't mess around with anything else. Check out inspectionmanager.com. But mate, all over to you.
Yeah, well, just on with the apps. I mean, for my own property, I've just moved out of my own home and I turned it into a rental property. So I actually do want to monitor that a lot more. So it's nice because I've got that heart attachment to my property. It's it's a reluctant landlord situation. So I actually enjoy looking at the really good photos. So it's really cool and it's important. So Michael, thank you so much for coming on board with us today. So Michael, you're also in New Zealand with us, but you're in a different room.
Different floor in the same hotel. So
he's down there somewhere. But anyway.
So look, just everyone know, we're actually on our national masterclass tour. We've already done, we started with Perth. Hang on. Melbourne, then Perth, then Adelaide, then Sydney, Brisbane. We are now on the last leg before we fly off to the United States.
Yep.
In about 10 days, all of us three, we're actually speaking at a big property management conference in Missouri. But anyway, mate.
Yeah, so Michael, great having you on board with us. And if you could just share with me, and Darren and everyone listening, why did you join real estate? Because real estate wasn't your first background. So, why did you join real estate?
I came into real estate back in 2003. It was after living in the UK doing marketing and communications at a telco business. And I guess being abroad, it was hard to find like a real estate agent that I could kind of converse with and find out what's happening with the market. When I came back from a good job in the UK, I'd done a full year previously of studying to get the full license. I had to do 1 year in the industry to qualify for the license. So I went into leasing. The first job I had in real estate was as a leasing agent, and we didn't have a computer. We had just had a ledger. It was very, very dated, and it was the lowest paid job I'd ever been on. But I did my time, and I wanted to learn everything about real estate, more so property management from the bottom up. I thought it was important. One of the things we studied at the doing the full license was actual like maintenance and understanding maintenance, and I found a lot of property managers weren't able to pick that up. So starting from the bottom, I got to learn all that.
Yeah, excellent. Leasing to me is an amazing position to start in. I mean, obviously, it's a skeleton of the BDM's position because, the call comes into the office, you've got to book the appointment, and you're at the appointment, whether it's a leasing or a new business, and you've got to ask for the business, and then you've got to follow up on both situations as well. So I love leasing. I like influencing people's lives, and you certainly did that in your career. So, just to help the listeners understand a little bit about your office, tell us a little bit about your office, your marketplace. Darren's already shared how many suburbs you covered, but it's not just suburbs. You reached further out than the norm.
Yeah, so we crossed into New South Wales and WA. We were just the one one location, one physical location. And
so that's 3 states, just to clarify, because you were in Victoria, so that's 3 states.
Correct, yeah. And I think we're up to like 89 suburbs at one point, but more so about 84 suburbs. And, you know, I've got a picture of a map that I kind of show some of the properties spread like across Melbourne. And, you know, for me, it wasn't about the location focus, it was about the client focus, about the client experience. And I know a lot of real estate agents won't pick up properties in other suburbs because they think it's out of their patch and there's that extra cost. But for me, it was never an issue, because they might have been multiple landlords. We kept the business under our umbrella, and we just had ways to get other properties, you know, leased without us actually having to physically doing it. You know, if I knew back in 2003 what I knew now, you know,
who knows?
It's totally different.
We could all say that poor Darren, he's getting the shakes, you know, because he's got a session on, you know, not travelling more than 20 minutes away from your office. You break all the rules.
Now, guys, I've actually made a mistake with this recording. All right.
He forgot to hit record.
No. It's recording. It's recording fine. It's just I need a better view. So we need to change it to the Brady Bunch view. All right. So I do apologise for everyone. We should have got this right at the start. But it's all good. All good. You can see us all better now. So
that's cool. Okay. So, so what is I mean, Darren, how do you feel about your session on, you know, only being 20 minutes, 30 minutes away from an office?
You know, look, at the end of the day, Michael just thinks outside of the square, and he will, if someone says, look, you can't do it that way, he'll work out a way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I love about Michael. Everything is just completely non-traditional, always challenging mindsets. And Michael is just a quiet achiever. He'll just work out a way to do it, and he won't make a big fanfare about it.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting, because I was at the real estate .com.au, rea.com.au's headquarters, and they were teaching me about this new reporting system, and I said, well, 0 days on market, you know, is anyone doing it? And they said, well, no. And I said, well, can you bring up an office for me? And I got them to bring your office up, and they went to sales, because I know you didn't sell properties much. It was just one of your current owners. Is that correct? If they wanted to sell. And they said, oh, you know, and I said, no, have a look at his rent. Have a look at his rentals. Have a look at his rentals. And they were going, no, this is a mistake. And they kept on reloading the page. No, this can't be right. You know, and this was like 2 of the top dogs of rea.com.au. So I thought it was quite humorous, because they even couldn't believe your stats that you were doing. So if we can go back to your office, Michael. So you know, what your office structure, pods. Were you task-driven? You know, how did you have that set up?
We evolved, and I guess as it got closer to now, we hyper-evolved. Whereas, you know, a property manager would, you know, do open for inspections, they would, you know, handle maintenance and everything on their own. We broke that down. So we got rid of the traditional property manager mindset. We tried to have people on the road less, more in the office, more customer service, income producing, growth focused. You know, we got rid of receptionists. We didn't have traditional receptionists. We didn't have, you wouldn't think that we're a real estate agency, basically. We're a tech-enabled service business. So, yeah, the office, we acquired an office when we took over another company. And for us, having a physical office, it's not our business model, because, you know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, people would walk into a real estate office and they'd look at the rental on the plaque, they'd get a rent list. And for me, that was inefficient. They'd waste time. We'd be wasting paper. So, like, we didn't give out rent lists. You know, we gave virtual goggles and like a link so people could actually see the property or the video. We would engage with the person if they came in, and rather give them a list, which they're going to throw out, we would just say, what are you after? You know, because if we don't have it, we don't have it, we can try and find it. So us in real estate and our office, very non-traditional.
And anyone in your office could do that. It wasn't like a leasing agent that did that. So if they're after a 4-bedroom property, then anyone could just bring up the list of 4-bedroom properties.
Yeah, you know, like, again, like, we really got rid of leasing agents too. Like, we didn't have that role anymore, because properties were renting themselves. You know, it's like we've spoken about before, where we would load a property up online, we'd have it as a virtual tour or a video, and we'll get it out to everyone from day one. Like, there was no lag time in waiting to see if the tenant can give us access or anything like that. It was just properties up from day one. And that helped us without no excuse for it not renting policy, because we were aggressive. You know, there's a lot of agents out there, and they've got to wait for the tenant to give them access, and they've got to, whatever the reason is. And the benefit of having like video or virtual tour also meant that if we had a tenant in there that, let's say they got kids and they don't want us going through their property always open for inspections,
manager, whatever the case.
Yeah, we pre-qualified everyone. So again, as for us as a real estate agency, we weren't, as an office, we weren't on the road doing all these crazy open for inspections unless the person was qualified.
Yeah.
So us in an office, totally different from the norm. And, we've spoken about before, I had like within 100 meters from our office, there was like 9 real estate agents, and there's 17 real estate agencies in Altona alone. And, that kind of sounds busy and hectic, but that's just Altona, right? Like, we were dealing with real estate agents in every single suburb across Melbourne. If it was in Traralgon or Emerald or Brighton or Portsea, like wherever it was, we're up against thousands of real estate agents. But they're not our competition, right? Like, it doesn't matter if they're leasing a property as a business. For us, it's what are we leasing? What are we bringing on? What are we managing?
Yep.
So, it sounds crazy, so many agents in our space, but it was, they're not our competition.
No, totally get it. So, Michael, how many properties did you list in the last 12 months? How many properties have you listed?
Look, it varied, as you know. Like, I'm in a transitional period at the moment, and so the first part of the year was a bit transitioning. I think it was like 53, probably in the last 4 or 5 months.
Yep.
So we'd slow down. You can pick up 100 plus in a 6-month period. The thing with real estate, I guess, being in Melbourne too, we found a lot of properties were selling, owners were moving back in. So it was a perpetual motion of always trying to bring on property because, people move back in and you're replacing it, and cat and mouse.
Yeah,
still growing every year.
Your focus obviously had changed from the growth as well. So, Michael, if you were to, your first day on the job, when you're a leasing agent, you kind of touched on it before, if you know what you knew now, but your first day, you're about to knock on the door and or walk into the door for the first time, and you tapped yourself on the shoulder. What advice would you give yourself, before you started on the job the first time?
Well, if I was starting in the leasing side of things again, I guess I would focus more on pre-qualifying tenants. And what I mean by that is taking the time to find out exactly what they want. Like, not just having 100 properties that they can choose from and kind of churning through the process, or just kind of taking the time to understand what our customers want, because those tenants would become landlords and they would refer on. Leasing agent, it was very like, I rent a property, I get paid, rent a property, I get paid. But that was churn and burn. It was almost like a sales role. So tapping on my shoulder, I would just say engage more, find out what people want more. Because I would have saved myself a lot of time over the last, 10 years. I've been solving problems. I started earlier on.
Totally get it.
Business earlier on.
Yeah, a lot of leasing agents, they say, how much do you want to spend a week in rent or per month for our American friends that are listening in. They might give you a figure, and then you're getting your list straight away. People, they're getting the list of the rent up to that amount, but they're not actually asking, does it need to be close to schools? Does it need to be this? What does it need to be public transport? So it is really important to get all that out the way, and you eliminate it yourself when you're showing them 1 or 2 properties rather than 10. So, that's excellent. So look, I suppose on the same, thread here, if you were to start your rent roll from scratch today, what would be your top 3 strategies to bring in most of the business?
I guess one of the most important things is picking up the phone and introducing yourself to the local area, but engaging with your accountants, your solicitors, your planners. These are the people that are already in front of clients that have investment properties. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of agents going through like RP Data or those platforms to try and find ownership details, but they find, especially now like with privacy laws, they're not getting through anywhere. So why bother there? Why don't you actually approach the people that are speaking to your ideal data? Yeah, and one of the scripts that I use when I'm calling up accountants and solicitors and so on, Neesh Property, can you tell me a bit about the services that you offer your clients? You know, so do you specialize in, you know, investments? Is it tax? You know, whatever it is that they're going to specialize in, and they will engage with me and they'll tell me everything about it. And I would say, look, that's a perfect fit because, you know, we deal with the same type of clients. And, you know, if there's an opportunity for me to refer people to you, I think our landlord base would benefit from that. And then from that too, you would talk to them about, you know, property investor nights and so on. But I've just gone blank.
Well, that's two. You've got property investor night. So you'd obviously run an opening night as well. So you've got your strategic alliance. You'd align that with an information night as well. Obviously buying a phone is really important.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no whisper marketing.
Yep.
But, you know, again, if you're starting out fresh, you're calling all these people. The other really important thing is make sure you've got like a Google presence, like a website presence, because even if you're zero properties, you want to make sure that you look the biggest, reputable, trustworthy. So when you are out there talking to these accountants, planners, mums and dads, when they go online to find you, because everyone's going to try and find you, that you're there. Yeah. And then the other part to that is, so the first thing is, you know, making contact with your local area. The second one is having a website, a Google presence, a social presence, you know, having a confident narrative. And the third one is video content. So, you know, videos weren't massive when we first started, but again, we're in the on-demand economy. So people want to know, how am I going to, you know, how do I find the property manager near me? How do I sign up a lease agreement? How do I, everything. And so for us as a business now, we evolved to kind of be that real estate agent, property manager before they needed me. So they would go online, they would find it, and they would check the reviews. And it was a process. I know we've spoken about it before, but they go onto Google, type in property manager. They see us come up in an area with other agents. They'll see our reviews. We've got, I think we've got about 50 odd. And then they'll click through to us. They'll go to our social page, our Facebook page, and they'll see. And like Kat's worked really hard with our narrative on a social platform too, to have a consistent message that comes across. So they're probably the three things that I definitely would tell anyone. Call your database, your local area, Google page, and video content.
Perfect. So let's just clarify, Kat is not your pet. That is your wife who works in the business as well, just for people who don't know. Now, Michael, you turn up to work on a Monday, you know, I mean, we'd all freak out about this one, right? And the bank calls. You know, they're the first person to call you. It's the bank. And you're thinking, great, I've got approved for a loan. I'm going to buy another investment. But no, he tells you he's going to close you down if you don't pick up 10 managements in 7 days. What do you do?
Well, again, you know, I guess rehashing what we just spoke about, I would pick up the phone and start calling people. You know, I guess a lot of people don't realize that when I set up Neesh Property, I left a partnership from a previous company. I couldn't bring on any clients. So I started Neesh Property with 0 clients. And basically I had to pick up the phone and call people and get my name out there and just keep calling and offer the service. And as you know.
Who were you calling, Michael? So it's not just like you're calling people, but who were you calling?
I couldn't call my friends and family because they were clients of my previous business and I couldn't bring them on. So I was reaching for everyone. I was calling through like professionals. So calling out, you know, my planners, my accountants that I knew, getting back in that sphere realm. And as you know, like the first management that I re-signed, I flew to Turkey to sign it, just to get that momentum going. You know, emotions motion, so they say. I did everything. And again, you know, I'd set up Neesh Property in a study nook in the apartment that we had with no overheads. And I called. So I was in a position like that where I had to make phone calls because I was asking people to invest in my business before I even set it up. And then I realized, you know, so I could kind of be bigger, no point in wasting money or borrowing money from people, just call. So I called people. I called accountants, planners, and the one person who I hadn't had their property lived in Turkey.
Okay, there you go. So you jumped on a plane, went to Turkey and listed the property. Excellent.
It was a terrible property too, $250 a week. It was a dive of a place. Oh my gosh, but I did it.
Yeah.
I had the motion.
Well, you got some brag rights around that. I mean, anyway, look, moving on. So, Michael, you are very non-traditional. So, you know, what are the top 3 rent roll growth strategies that got you most of your growth, certainly in that last 1 to 2 years? What worked best for you?
Yeah, sure. So I focused a lot on, it was a bit of a process. So we focus a lot on our marketing. So our virtual reality, our videos are trying to be different. Because going into a listing presentation, if an owner has 3 real estate agents coming in there, I guarantee they're all kind of saying the exact same thing. You know, they collect rent, they do routines, they do X, Y, Z. that's not really solving a problem for owners. So we focus on how to solve problems and that narrative. We would use virtual reality, which was very big for us.
Virtual reality, again, just to go to that definition, it's really where we're allowing people to have like a real experience of that. So it would be using the goggles, is that right? With the iPhone?
Two ways, either the goggles or just on your screen, depending how they want to view it. Yep. But for an owner, so what helped us with other people, like we had all the stats, right? I could show you that we had 0% vacancy, and I could show you how fast we rented property, and I could tell you that, or I could show you, that we had 168 views as opposed to 78 views average on market. So we're getting more than twice the amount of views. Yep. So speaking to an owner, it didn't matter what anyone else said. I had a proof statement. I had something actual, tangible to kind of say to them, this is the report, and no one else could do that. So we focus on market. Sorry?
I think it's fair that you tapped into what owners really care about. And we know that they don't want cheap fees when you can prove to them that you can get them the best rent with the best tenant in the quickest possible time using that technology and marketing techniques. But Michael, right now, where can people go to actually see samples of your marketing? Is there actually a platform available they can actually view some of the videos and virtual reality tours that you did? Are they still available?
Yeah, and we can canvas a few more. But if you go to like our YouTube channel for Neesh Property, there's some of our 360 videos on there.
So Neesh is spelled, Neesh is N-E-E-S-H. So Neesh Property on YouTube. Go and have a look at the videos that Michael did, so you can see what difference. And again, I mean, if people, an owner, it's a bit of a no-brainer. If they can see how quickly you're going to get a good tenant, it doesn't matter what the other agent says. That you just hit their hot buttons, and then the cheap fees or the fees become very, very, non-important.
And we're in a marketplace like. Which in Melbourne, like they're consistently low. I won't mention what all the fees are, but we were going in at full fee. We were going in at the top letting fee for our marketplace, like in Victoria.
Yep.
We were full fee, and if it was like interstate or if it was further out, we charged an amount that was worth charging for. And owners appreciated that because they were with us because they trusted us. We inspired them. They knew that what we were doing, as opposed to fees. Don't get me wrong. There were some people on our book that were fee hunters.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. So you were doing virtual reality. You're doing 360 camera technology as well, the Matterport cameras. And also, Michael, what else were you doing with your marketing? Now you're putting it across a number of social media platforms as well.
Yeah, correct. So again, social media is being social. We wouldn't flood our social media pages with all the properties that we had for rent. We built up through our platforms a following. We haven't got 10,000 likes or 100,000 likes and followers. We had a good concentration of people that liked us, and we used our social media to help list property, because it's amazing how many owners out there have got Instagram and Facebook, and they would see us. It was like we formed our top of mind campaign. So what I mean by top of mind campaign is someone's at a supermarket. They pay for their groceries. They get a shopper docket. You're on the back of the shopper docket. You're not selling a discounted service, but you're on the back of it. They drive up to their home and they see a for lease board there. They're on internet and they kind of see us at a cafe, because they're at their local cafe, and they see us at their local cafe, or on their social, they see we've tagged the local cafe. And one day they need to rent out their property, and all of a sudden they go online.
The operator's calling.
That's just listening.
Hello. Yes, we did. We're actually doing an international podcast at the moment. So say hello to everybody.
Good social media.
Hello, that's good. What was your name? Okay, Rich, we're actually doing a recording at the moment. If you could bring the item up probably within about half an hour, 45 minutes would be great. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much. Just for the 2 nights. All right, thank you. Okay. Well, there you go.
There's evidence we are in a hotel.
You got to laugh about that one. So, I mean, for people also knowing, this is a video podcast. So if you're watching it on iTunes or Podbean as well, there is a video version available on our website. Go to Inspired Growth Training under the Knowledge Library. But anyway,
Michael, so you're talking about the shopper docker, you've tagged the business on social media, and you're becoming that top of mind.
Yeah, correct. So when they go to find a property manager and they go into Google to find one, and they see our branding there, they've already got that trust for us, as opposed to trying to find someone that they have no trust for. Like, they've already done the research, and then they'll click on the reviews, and it's got the social proof, that social trust.
Yeah, so, and I'll also just clarify that you don't use Matterport. You used a different. It's similar to Matterport, but it's a
microdata.
Yep. Okay. But everyone recognises the name Matterport, but it's a 1% of the cost, you could almost say.
I mean, the amount of money that you can lose through discounting your management fee. I mean, look, we've run some stats, and Michael, if a person discounts 1%, let's say the average rent is $400 a week, they discount 1%, that's $4 a week. And that's, over a year, that's like $200 over like the management. You get a management for 5 years. Well, that discount's now around about $1,000. Let's say you do that on 30 properties a year over 5 years, do the math. We're getting up to that, $30,000-$40,000, and that's the actual expense of discounting. And so it's much cheaper to go and invest in technology like Matterport cameras. Think, oh, it's too expensive. No, it's not. Discounting is the most expensive thing you could ever do. Run the math. You go and have a look for yourself. And there are so many other points of difference out there, and Michael's got some of the best. So, well done. And I can just see there, Michael, that you prove to them you can get them the best tenant, the best rent, the quickest possible time, using those effective marketing techniques that you've talked about. Again, go to Neesh Property, Neesh on YouTube, and go and have a look at that. And, be different. Don't just have boring photos the same as everyone else. Refuse to be the same. If you look the same as your competitors, well, now the owners are going to be very forceful on wanting a fee discount, because they are looking for a point of difference if you don't proactively give one. So, Michael, well done. Now, another question for you is that if you did have, despite showing them your virtual technology, despite showing them how you do, walkthrough videos and Matterport cameras and all that sort of stuff, and putting it over social media and all the non-traditional marketing that you do, they then turn around still and say, hey, look, if you can match your management fee with the other agent down the road, what's your response?
What part of my service don't they want? Basically, it's we are probably one of the cheapest agents out there, because our owners aren't losing money on rent. They're not losing money on bad tenants, things like that. So whilst we're higher fees than a lot of people, we're probably one of the cheapest out there.
Overall, you're saving them so much money. One thing, you said, Michael, is I know you've recently sold your rent roll, and now you're a consultant. In fact, Michael, I think it's fair to say you're teaching agencies now how to do property marketing like this. And go to sanzconsulting.com. Is that right, Michael? Just
sanz.com.au.
Sanz, S-A-N-Z or Z, depending on what part of the the planet you're from. Sanz.com.au, and Michael can certainly help you out there.
So what? If I can bring it back to growth, if that's okay, during those those strong growth periods. I mean, Michael, I know I was coaching you for a little while, but it ended up, I think, being we were coaching each other for a little while.
Mastermind session, yeah.
It was a great mastermind session. I really did enjoy having you as a client. I felt like I was ripping you off because you were teaching me as much as I was teaching you. But that's good business for me. What were some of the KPIs that you had in place on yourself to, that you were doing to, keep those numbers coming in?
When you bring in properties, it purely is a numbers game. So we were calling about 40 people a day.
Yep.
At least, you're doing everything else, but as a business owner too, mindful that there's a lot of other things I have to do. 40 calls a day, and that was mixed to previous owners, owners that have left to another agency, calling them and seeing how they're going. Is there anything we can help them with, just kind of touching base.
Yep.
And probably out of 40, you'd probably expect 40 phone calls. You'd expect at least 5 appointments, at least minimum, to kind of catch up with people, like legitimate ones. There are other like coffee dates and things like that, but 5, and then you would hope to actually list those 5 properties at least when you're going to call them. But the reality is, some of them were like back burner. People aren't ready to rent it out yet. Giving them an appraisal, whatever it was like that. But it's for us, it was picking up the phone and making phone calls.
Yeah, and it's certainly building up that pipeline as well. It doesn't matter. People, they get into that mindset of not asking for the business, but it's about creating an opportunity at every single moment that you can. I don't know how many times I've been in an Uber with you. Every now and then we get a cab. We have to go back to the old traditional way, but you're still asking people if they've got an investment property. I mean, I don't know how many times, Darren, I've been in an Uber and I'm in Melbourne and I do the same thing. I text Michael to call somebody and I'm in the Uber still and Michael's calling the Uber driver. Like he's instant, which was great, So Michael messaged me back. He didn't pick up. Then I've got to tell the Uber driver, dude, pick up the phone. That's Michael calling you. So, I mean, we had similar attributes there and that's what I really liked. I saw it last night in Auckland, but it was it's always about creating that opportunity. I don't know how many times I tell people that leads isn't the problem. The problem is BDMs or property managers or those listing agents, they're not picking up the phone. And how many times have you said today during this podcast, it's about picking up the phone? Michael, you didn't have a big sales team behind you. You weren't relying on a big sales team to grow your rent roll. You're pure evidence of an agency, property management only, collecting 52 weeks a year rent for your owners, winning those businesses at full fee, and having some simple KPIs in place about picking up, booking appointments, becoming front of mind through social media does certainly grow your rent roll.
100%.
Did you ask him about the next one? We're just looking at our list.
We've got a list here.
Did you ask him about the growth goal?
Well, I mean,
growth goal.
The reason why I haven't asked you about the growth goal is he sold his rent roll. So let's pretend you haven't sold your rent roll. Okay, Michael, let's pretend that you're still growing the business. What's your next growth for the next 12 months? What's your growth goal?
Yeah, what's the next 12 months, Michael? What is your vision for the next 12 months? Well, in fact, you talk 5 years. Where do you want to be going? What do you want to be doing? Now, I think we have to say about Michael how extraordinary this guy, if there is a conference in the United States, he's on a plane. He'll go to the Facebook events. He will go and mix with people that work in Facebook. He will go to the virtual reality technology conferences. You are personally coached by Tom Ferry, who's...
So I think coaching is very, very important. Having a mentor, even if you think you're the best, right? It's not so much about thinking you're the best, you don't need help. It's having someone who can look at it from a different perspective and push you, just to kind of ask the accountability. And I was a business owner, right? And that's why like Deniz and I started, because everything that I was going to do was right? And so I wanted accountability. I mean, it turned out that everything that I was doing was right, but
Yeah, but what you did, Michael, I'd be training you and you'd be typing, yep, I've implemented 5 of those things. That accountability was really good. And
and so as far as growth goes, so as far as growth goes, for me, like personal growth goals, as you know, like we're doing consulting now, and with Inspired Growth, we're doing the gold coaching. And for me, I'm getting my success from helping other people list properties, by going out. And so they're my KPIs. So we have clients, as you know, who are picking up the phone. They're going on Google. They're putting the videos out there. And every time they get a management, or, they go, I mean, this is a fun one, the new BDM, one of our clients, exact same strategy. We said, call your local accountants, planners and everything. And I think they've already got 3 like solid lead referrals from just doing that. And this is the person that was in property management, and they're moving into the BDM. And when they tell me that, like, that's my joy, like that's my growth. But as far as our growth going forward, like for me, it's about helping people, and showing people like what I was doing. It's not rocket science.
Excellent. And obviously you were doing a data mine, in helping a new agency open up and getting, you know, names, numbers, emails of all those strategic alliances that you're meant to be doing so they know to pick up the phone.
I think fair to say also, you know, if Michael is one of our BDM Gold coaches, so go to inspiredgrowthtraining.com, go to Training Consultant, you'll see BDM Gold coaching there, or just get in contact with us. Of course, you know, we're getting a lot of very happy people that are working with you, Michael, that maybe, you know, they originally thought, hey, we just want to go with Deniz, but of course, Deniz, we're always traveling. Michael has taken over the reins, and you're really, you know, getting a lot of raving fans out there, Michael, certainly with your, you know, what you bring to the table. But one last question now, we've got to wrap this up. You know, Michael, you're on stage at the Inspired Growth Conference. You're speaking there, and you've got a room full of BDMs and bosses, and you've only got 1 minute to say something. What's the most important thing that you'd like to say to them?
Well, the most important thing that I would say to a BDM at the moment, with all the technology and everything that we have at our disposal and the systems and the data mining and everything, is don't lose track of what you're trying to do. The client is in front of you. Engage, build the relationship, build the trust. If you don't pick the property up now, don't stress about it. Next, there's going to be many more properties you're going to pick up, but engage.
Yeah.
Get about the tools we have around us, engage. You will get far more success by building the relationship than you will by discounting your fees.
Is that another way of saying, Deniz, pick up the phone? Pick up the phone.
It is. And Michael's...
No, I can't say it again, you know.
Yeah, trying to say it differently. And Michael also, you know, he does the video text messages. He does the, you know, and that's an amazing way of connecting with clients. It's personalised. It's not just a text.
I was with a person the other night after masterclass in Sydney, and I listened to this. So a person texts a principal property manager BDM. He says, look, I've been told to give you a call. What are your fees? And it's like, oh, how do I get in front of this person? With a quick video text, hi, such and such here, really good to get your message. I'm not able to give my fees at the moment because I need to get to know you, see where the property is. We've got to make sure that we're a good fit too as an agency for you.
Yep.
I will give you a call tomorrow, and I would like to make a time to come out and see you. The person then took the phone call the next day. They made a time, went out there, signed them up, and he said he was really, really impressed with the video text. So, you know, do something completely out of the traditional.
And, you know, I'll show my phone here. I don't want to show it, but there's a video there. I'm doing this with our clients. You know, we do this. We
send a video text.
Yeah.
All right, you want to stand out from the 3 or 4 agents you're up against that aren't doing any of this, send a video text. So, all right, guys, I think it's a really good session. We had a very interesting interruption. So, hey, that's our podcast. Of course, on our Inspired Growth training, you'll get the video podcast. This is the audio that we stripped out of it and place it into iTunes or Podbean as well. But great session, guys.
Yeah,
thank
really
you so much, Michael. I think we're in for a bit of fun now. And,
we are. Just to throw something into the mix so you all know, we have got BDM royalty in the room with us.
Greg, come over here, Greg.
You know, we've got
Greg Watson. Okay,
three-time BDM award winner with BDM Coach.
Hi, Greg.
Winning property manager BDM in New Zealand.
And we had to give him a Hall of Famer award because no one else is, you know, willing to even apply for any awards.
Hi, Brad. You got a massive combination here. The brains in this room and in Michael's room, outstanding. So great work, guys.
You got that $50 you can
slip. Oh, the $50. So is it $50 New Zealand or Aussie? You know. Anyway,
give it New Zealand.
All right. Okay. Well, anyway, take care, everyone. And if you're in the Door Grow event in Missouri November, that's where we're off to together to go speak. Yep. So have fun, everyone. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.